Picture this, a Sunday afternoon in July 2025, the Caribbean coasts of Costa Rica. The water is blue and warm and beautiful. A family is on vacation, a father, a mother, an 8-year-old little girl. The kind of afternoon that is supposed to become a memory you smile about for the rest of your life. And then, in a single moment, the kind of moment that does not announce itself, does not give you time to prepare, the ocean pulls. It pulls hard. And Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the boy that an entire generation of Black America watched grow up on their television screens, the young man who made Theo Huxtable one of the most beloved characters in the history of American television, is suddenly fighting for his life in a rip current off Playa Cocles in Limon Province. Surfers in the water spotted him and his daughter struggling. They dove in. One surfer used his board to pull the 8-year-old girl to safety. A volunteer lifeguard dragged Malcolm and another surfer to shore. And for 45 minutes, 45 long, desperate minutes, paramedics from the Costa Rican Red Cross worked on him. They did not stop trying. But on July 20th, 2025, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was pronounced dead at the scene. He was 54 years old, and the world that had once watched him fumble through homework and argue with Bill Cosby on a Brooklyn brownstone set, that world went completely silent. He was born Malcolm-Jamal Warner on August 18, 1970, in Jersey City, New Jersey, named deliberately and proudly after two giants, Malcolm X, the revolutionary, and Ahmad Jamal, the jazz pianist. His father, Robert Warner Jr., was an educated man who had attended Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, the same historically Black university that the great poet Langston Hughes had walked through. That lineage mattered. Poetry, music, identity, Blackness as a conscious inheritance. These things were woven into Malcolm before he ever stepped in front of a camera. After his parents divorced, his mother Pamela Warner moved the family to Los Angeles, California, and she became not just his parent, but his manager, his advocate, his fiercest protector. By age 9, this kid from Jersey City was already enrolled in acting classes, already certain of what he was put on this earth to do. He would later say that he found full confidence in acting at the age of 8, not 12, not 15, not after years of doubt. 8. That kind of clarity is rare in anyone, let alone a child. He graduated from the Professional Children's School in New York City, the same institution that had shaped generations of young performers, and by his early teens, the doors of Hollywood were already beginning to open. He appeared in episodes of Fame, Matt Houston, and Call to Glory. He was building something, learning something, and then came the audition that would change everything. NBC was searching across the entire country for the right young man to play the only son of a character called Heathcliff Huxtable on a new sitcom being developed by Bill Cosby. Thousands of kids auditioned, and on the very last day of the nationwide search, Malcolm-Jamal Warner walked in. Bill Cosby chose him himself, and just like that, Theo Huxtable was born. From 1984 to 1992, The Cosby Show was not just a television program, it was a cultural event. Every Thursday night, millions of American families, Black and white, gathered around their television sets and watched the Huxtable family navigate life in a Brooklyn Heights brownstone set with warmth, humor, and an undeniable dignity. Malcolm played Theo across all 8 seasons, from an awkward 12-year-old boy learning about budgets and consequences, all the way to a young man finding his path in the world. In 1986, he received an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series. He was just 15 years old. 15, and he earned every single moment of that recognition. Theo Huxtable was not just a character, he was a mirror. For every Black boy in America who had been told his story did not belong on primetime television, Theo was proof that it did. Malcolm understood that weight deeply. He once said that the show had legitimized the Black middle class in a way that nothing before it had managed to do, not because the Black middle class was new, but because television had never bothered to show it. That representation, he knew, was not just entertainment, it was medicine. But here is where the story gets complicated. because the very show that made Malcolm-Jamal Warner a household name was also the show that would later carry the shadow of Bill Cosby's crimes. When the sexual misconduct allegations against Cosby began surfacing publicly, dozens of women, decades of abuse, Malcolm did not hide from the conversation. He acknowledged his sadness. He spoke about the legacy of The Cosby Show being tarnished. He worried, loudly and with real grief, about what it meant for images of black people on television when the most celebrated black family in TV history became inseparable from scandal. It was a grief that had no clean resolution. You could love what the show meant to a generation and still hold Cosby accountable. Malcolm tried to carry both truths at once. That is not a small thing to carry. After The Cosby Show ended in 1992, Malcolm did what very few child stars managed to do. He survived the transition. He kept working. He kept growing. From 1996 to 2000, he co-starred with Eddie Griffin in the UPN sitcom Malcolm and Eddie, a 4-season run that proved his comedic instincts had only deepened with age. Eddie Griffin would later call him a warrior, a brother, someone he had gone to war with against the Hollywood machine. He appeared on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He directed episodes of The Cosby Show, All That, and Kenan and Kel, and others. He produced. He stepped behind the camera as confidently as he had ever stood in front of it. From 2018 to 2023, he played Dr. A.J. Austin on the Fox medical drama The Resident, a role that introduced him to an entirely new generation of television audiences who may not have grown up with Theo Huxtable, but who recognized immediately that this man had something rare, a stillness, an authenticity, a presence that no acting class creates and no director can manufacture. You either have it or you do not. Malcolm-Jamal Warner had it from the age of 8.
And then there was the music. And the poetry. Because Malcolm was never just one thing. He was never willing to be boxed in by a single identity. In 2015, he won a Grammy Award for Best Traditional R&B Performance for Jesus Children, a spoken word contribution to a Robert Glasper experiment track that memorialized the victims of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. It was a performance of such raw grief and such precise language that it stopped people cold. In 2023, he was nominated for a second Grammy, this time for Best Spoken Word Poetry Album, for his project Hiding in Plain View. That title alone tells you everything about who Malcolm-Jamal Warner was, a man who had been living in plain view his entire life, and yet had somehow remained deeply, profoundly himself throughout all of it. He married Tanisha Warner in 2017, building a life rooted in love, privacy, and quiet purpose. Together, they had a daughter, the same little girl who was beside him in the water that Sunday afternoon in Costa Rica. She was only 8 years old enough to remember, old enough to carry the weight of that moment for the rest of her life. She watched as strangers became heroes, surfers cutting through the current without hesitation. A surfboard turned into a lifeline. She was pulled to safety, brought back to shore, while just feet away, her father, Malcolm-Jamal Warner, was laid on the sand as rescuers fought to bring him back. CPR on the beach, voices calling out, time stretching in ways that felt unbearable. For 45 minutes they tried. They did not stop. They refused to give up. Later, his mother, Pamela Warner, shared something the world needed to hear, that in his final moments he was at peace, that he did not suffer. It was a statement filled with both love and necessity, the kind of truth a mother offers when there are no words big enough to hold the loss. Perhaps she knew her son deeply enough to believe it. Perhaps she needed to believe it to survive it. When Bill Cosby heard the news, his reaction cut through everything else. He said it felt like the day he learned his own son, Ennis Cosby, had been killed. Some grief ignores context, history, and complexity. It lands somewhere deeper, somewhere purely human, where loss is just loss. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was laid to rest with plans for a public celebration of life in late 2025 or early 2026. He left behind his wife, his daughter, and a body of work that spanned 5 decades. Awards and recognition followed him: Grammy nominations, an Emmy nomination, a Grammy win, but none of them fully capture what he gave to the world. Because what he truly left behind was Theo Huxtable, that boy in the Brooklyn brownstone who felt real in a way television rarely allows. Funny, flawed, brilliant, loved. Through Theo, he helped redefine how black boys were seen, not as stereotypes, but as full, complex human beings deserving of space, laughter, and understanding. Beyond the screen, Malcolm-Jamal Warner gave the world poetry that still resonates, music that still moves people, and a presence that felt genuine in an industry often built on performance. Those who knew him, Tracy Ellis Ross, Eddie Griffin, Bill Cosby, and his own mother, described a man who was warm, gentle, present, kind, thoughtful, deep, funny, and elegant.
He was still becoming. At 54, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was still creating, still directing, still writing, still exploring new layers of himself. There were more stories ahead, more art, more life, more moments waiting to be lived and shared with the world. But the ocean does not pause for potential. It does not measure legacy. We do. We remember the father in the water, the artist on the screen, the man behind it all, and we will not forget. If you made it this far, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Stay aware, stay curious, and keep watching closely always.